We're covering today Daf Kof Chaf Bet 122 with two topics. The first one is asking or benefiting from work that a non-Jew does on Shabbat. That'll be the last Mishnah in this perek, completing the perek, and then we will start the next perek, which is be some of the laws of Mukseh. So we start with the Mishnah that says Goy shedliket haner mishamesh lo Yisrael v'mishbil Yisrael asur. If a non-Jew lit a flame, lit a lamp for himself, then a Jew could use it as well. However, if the non-Jew lit it for the Jew, then he is not permitted. You cannot benefit from a melacha that a non-Jew did if it's for you. And another example, milemayim lashkot behemto, mashkeh harav Yisrael, v'im bishvil Yisrael asur. If the non-Jew fills up, draws water from a well to give water to his animal, then if there's any leftover, the Jew can come afterwards and fill it up. But if he drew the water for himself, but also for the Jew, then the Jew cannot benefit from it. The third example, the non-Jew made a ramp to get off a ship on Shabbat. So if he made it for himself, then the Jew can use the ramp after and get off the ship as well. However, if he made it for the Jew, then he is not allowed to use it because he's benefiting from the building that the non-Jew does. And then we have a story. Rabban Gamaliel we had to do a board. Rabban Gamaliel at one time, Rabban Gamaliel and the other elders were on a ship, and it docked on Shabbat. In the Tosefta version of this, it says that they were close enough. They were within the Tichum Shabbat when Shabbat came in. So there's no problem of getting off the boat because they were already in the Tichum. And the non-Jew made a ramp to get off. And so after that, the Rabban Gamaliel also used it. So here you have Maaseh story that proves the halacha. Historically, probably the story came first, and we derived the halacha from the story. Now, Gamaliel is going to wonder why we need all these three examples. They all prove the same basic point. Well, you need the first one. You need the first two. If you only had the first one about using a lamp, I would say that that's allowed because once you light a lamp for one person, it's the same lamp for 100 people. The fire goes out, and you're not taking anything away from the original by benefiting from it. So I might think that only in that case, when the non-Jew does it for himself, then the Jew can come and benefit because he's not taking anything away. However, with water, where there's a limited amount, and the more one uses, the less there is, there should be a gezerah. Perhaps, and another time, the non-Jew will draw more for the Jew. He'll see, oh, he used it, he wants it, and so he may draw some extra. So you might think in the case of water, you should make a gezerah and be careful and not allow, and in any case, even if he does it for himself. So you need the second case to say, even in that case where it's not where it's a non-zero sum game, still allowed. Or rather, a zero-sum game is still allowed. Why need the third one? The ramp is more similar to the lamp because once you make the ramp, there's no extra effort in making it for many people. Oh, this actually does not teach any new principle. We wanted to introduce the story about Rabban Gamaliel. It's a good story. It's a good precedent that we can follow. And so we include that law for that reason. Tanu Rabbanan. Okay, now we're going to bring a baraita that adds another caveat, limitation to this. So a non-Jew is gathering grass for his animal, and if there's some leftover, the Jew can use it. However, that's only if he got it for himself. If he had in mind to gather it for the Jew, then it's not allowed. And similarly, the same as Mishnah, same case. Here's the caveat. All this, when it says it's allowed, is only if he does it for himself and he does not even know the Jew. Right? He doesn't recognize him. In that case, it is permitted. However, if he recognizes him and knows who he is, then it would not be permitted. Okay, good. So we have the Baraita that says that only if the Jew does not recognize that, only if the non-Jew does not recognize the Jew and he does it for himself, then the Jew can benefit it. Not if he recognizes him, because then there's always a chance that he has him in mind is doing it for him. Now we have a contradiction to one of the points, one of the minor points in this Baraita, from a statement of Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Chanina is technically a first generation Amora, but sometimes he's considered even a Tana. He studied under the Yehuda Nasi, but it looks like here we're bringing him as a challenge or a contradiction with the Baraita. So Idi B'Hamar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rabbi Chanina ma'amid adam b'mto al gabe asabim b'Shabbat, aval lo al gabe mukseh b'Shabbat. A person is allowed to bring his animal to grass, even though the animal is going to uproot the grass, and that is a problem. I mean, it's a melacha, but you don't have to worry about that. The animal's doing it for his own because it's hungry. You don't have to stop the animal for doing melacha for its own sake. You can't work the animal, but it's allowed to go and get grass. But what you can't do is, if you have grass that's already plucked, but you didn't have it in mind, and that would be this case over here, because the non-Jew plucked it for his own animal on Shabbat, so therefore it's mukseh. You cannot bring an animal to mukseh food because it's almost like you're feeding it, or maybe you'll come to put it in its mouth and move it. So that's what you can't do. So how come over here it said that in the Baraita that you can bring the animal to the grass and give it to the grass that the non-Jew plucked? So we answered that came la be'apa ve'azla hi ve'achla. No, you didn't bring the animal all the way to the grass, but rather you bring it close, and that you stand nearby, and the animal has to go and find it for itself, and that way it's allowed. Okay, now we get to the main part of that. And so we're going to have some discussion about this, recognizing the non-Jew recognizes that the Jew or not. Rabban Gamaliel was on the ship. They were on the ship, I don't know how long, but a few days, a few weeks. Obviously, the sailors knew the people that were on the ship. So Rabban Gamaliel must have known the sailor, and so the sailor opens the gangplank, the ramp. So he does it with Rabban Gamaliel in mind. So how is Rabban Gamaliel allowed to go off? We have two answers. One answer is that it wasn't around. Rabban Gamaliel was not around just at that point. He did know Rabban Gamaliel. Rabban Gamaliel was under the deck. It was Shabbat. He was studying. He was playing Torah. Whatever he was doing, he wasn't actually there. So therefore, it's no problem. The sailor did it for himself to go off. Rabban says, it could be even Rabban Gamaliel was standing. I'm sure he was eager to get off. He was there waiting. But this is the same principle as a lamp. Once you make a lamp for one person, 100 people can benefit. So to here, it doesn't matter. Make a lamp for one person, now 100 people can benefit from it without any added effort. So therefore, the sailor did it for himself, and therefore you can benefit from it, even though he is makiro and he's standing there. So you see that this principle would trump, according to Rabban, would trump even the limitation of she'en makiro. Okay, now we're going to have three questions on Rabban. First one, from a Tosefta, Amar Lahen Rabban Gamaliel, O'il v'shelo befanenu asa'o nered bo. In the Tosefta, parallel to the Mishnah, which actually is an older version of the story than the Mishnah. You can see it has more detail, and also that story is told twice in the Mishnah, once in Eruvin and once here. This Mishnah splits apart the story for two contexts to teach only the law in each context. But the original story was talking about both the problem of Eruv and Techumin and the problem of making the ram. So in that original Tosefta, the elders ask Rabban Gamaliel, how are you allowed to get off the boat? Didn't he make it for you? And he answered, since he made it not in front of us, we can go down. So you see that the key thing is that when he made the ramp, Rabban Gamaliel was not there, was not present. And that fits with the first opinion of Abaye, but not with Rabban. But Rabban can answer. What Rabban Gamaliel meant is not that it technically matters whether he was there or not. The point is that he did it already. Right? It's already done. It was done whether for him or not for him. He would have done it even if I wasn't there. So therefore, it's allowed because he did not do it for me. That is the key. Okay, second question. Ta Shema. עיר שישראל וגויים דרים בתוכה, והייתה בה מלחס המלחסת בשבת. אם רוב גויים מותר ללחוס בה מיד, אם רוב ישראל ימתין בכדי שיחמו חמין. The second question says, if you have a city where there are Jews and non-Jews living in it together, and there was a bathhouse, and the bathhouse was open and ran on Shabbat. If most of the majority of the citizens of the city are non-Jews, then a Jew can use the bathhouse immediately after Shabbat. Right? Normally, if a non-Jew does something for a Jew, he prepares him an omelet or something, then the Jew cannot have it on Shabbat for sure, and has to wait after Shabbat the time that it would take to prepare that omelet, to do whatever malacha it was. In the case of a bathhouse, it would be the time it would take to heat up the water. But here, because the majority of the residents in the city are not Jewish, so therefore the attendant of the bathhouse was heating it up mostly for the non-Jews. And so therefore it was done for the non-Jews, so the Jew, he can't go in on Shabbat because of the technical problem of bathing in hot water on Shabbat, but he can go in it right immediately after Shabbat. However, if it's mostly Jewish people in the city, then he has to wait after Shabbat enough time. So in other words, he can't benefit from it, even though the majority of the people are Jewish. And so we're wondering, according to this, isn't it also the principle of ner le'achad, ner le'me'ah? I mean, once you make a bathhouse, once you have to heat up a bathhouse, it's one switch. You heat it up the same amount, no matter how many Jews there are non-Jews. So it should be as long as there's even one non-Jew there who's benefiting from it, and he would have done anyway. Same with the ramp. It could be one Jew who got off the ramp. It doesn't matter if the rest of the people on the boat are Jewish; they can all come off. So this seems to be a challenge to Rabban. The answer: Hatam ki mechamemeh adata derubam de mechamemeh. Now, in that case, when there is a majority, then that's the primary focus. That's the main reason why the attendant is making the water hot in the bathhouse. It's primarily for the Jews, and therefore, for a Jew to use it would be the non-Jew doing it for the Jew, even though if the other people are a minority, but they are not as important because they are the minority. So that's how we solve the second problem. That's why it still would be a problem. And the third question to Rava, Tashema ner hadaluk b'msiba im rob goyim mutar lishtamesh le'orah im rob Yisrael asur. You have a banquet, and I guess it's getting dark, and a non-Jew comes and lights a lamp. If the majority of the people are not Jewish, then it's okay. Your Jew can stay there because he did it for the majority of the people that were not Jewish. But if the majority are Jewish, then it's not allowed. We have a similar question. Half and half is also not allowed. We have the same question. He did it for some of the non-Jews. So according to Rabban, if he did it for some of the non-Jews, why don't you say the principle of ner lechad ner leme'ah, and the Jews can stay there. What does it matter if they're the majority? Same answer. When he's lighting it, he has in mind primarily whoever the majority is, and therefore if the majority is Jewish, it's not allowed. And then we end with a perek with a story. Toran atahu goy alik sheraga ahadrin hu Shemuel le'apeh kevan chazad ha'iti shetar v'kakare amar adata denafsheh hu da'adik adrin hu api aihu le'apeh kabeh sheraga. Shmuel once went to this person's house, some Persian guy named Avin Toran, and there was a non-Jew there who lit a lamp. It was on Shabbat. Guess he was staying there. And Shemuel turned his face away because he didn't want to benefit from the light of the lamp. However, then he saw that they brought a document also for that the non-Jew would read, or Abin Toran would read. And so they brought it to read. He says, he lit the lamp for himself. I see, that's why I lit the lamp. He didn't light it for me. So then he turned his face back towards the lamp, and he says, I will benefit from it indirectly. So it's nice how we started with Torah burning on Shabbat and saving it, and we end with also reading a scroll for the light of a fire. Hadran alach kol kitbeh. We able to end that perek. Chazakim uberuchim. And now we start a new perek, which is going to be about the different laws of mukseh. As it says as follows: Kol hakelim nitalin b'Shabbat v'datotehen, im mahen af al pi shenitpareku b'Shabbat, שאינן דומים לדלתות הבית, לפי שאינן מן המוכן. Okay, any vessel, and we're talking here, any vessel can be moved on Shabbat, right? You have in mind that you're going to use it, and any vessel you may use, so you're allowed to move it. And we're talking specifically about vessels that have a door, like a chest or an armoire, or some kind of movable closet has doors, or even a Tupperware with a lid, right? And you take off the lid. Even if the lid is off, you can still put it on, although the lid itself or the door is not technically the entire vessel. It's all part of it. So you're allowed to move vessels and their coverings or doors, even if they were taken off, even if they were not on Shabbat, on Shabbat. We're going to discuss this word Shabbat because actually, if it was on before Shabbat and then on Shabbat it was taken off, then it was obviously it's not mukseh because altogether. The question really is if it was not connected. If I had the top of the Tupperware off before Shabbat, and then you might think that the cover is mukseh because it wasn't attached to it, right? We're going to learn that it's okay also, but this is going to revolve around this word Shabbat. We're going to have to interpret it. Anyway, this is important because shenan domin is not similar to a door of a house. If I have a house door that is not connected to the house, obviously if it's connected, I can open and close it. If it's not connected to the house, then the door is mukseh, because the door by itself, not connected, is not a vessel, is not usable. And so it cannot be moved. It certainly cannot attach it to the house, that would be building. Okay, that's one halacha. Now a separate halacha, a person can take a mallet that generally you'd be using for work, for building, and it would be mukseh. However, if you're going to use it to open a nut with it, then it's allowed. Okay, so this is klisha melachto le'isur. This is a vessel that's usually used for a prohibited act, but here I'm using it for something that's permitted, so that's allowed. Or I want to use an axe because I need to chop a fig cake, right? Those very thick fruit roll-ups that they would, it was so thick, you need an axe to do it. So usually an axe is to cut wood, that's prohibited. But if I'm using it for a permitted purpose, then it's allowed. Similarly, a saw, which is usually I can use it to cut big block of cheese. Or a spade, usually to work in the field, I can use it to scoop up some dried figs from the bottom of a barrel. A winnowing shovel or pitchfork, I can put some food on it to give to a child. Why would I feed a child with a pitchfork? I don't know. Maybe he's far away, he's on the other side of a river or something. I can't reach him, so I can put on the pitchfork and reach out to him. These are items that are used in a loom, a reed, or a shuttle, but they have a pointy end. I might use it kind of like a fork. Or machat shel yad litol bo et hakos. I can use a needle to take out a thorn that goes into your skin. V'shel sakkaim liftoch bo hadelet. A needle of a sack maker, which were bigger needles. I can use that to pick a door lock with. So all these things are usually used for prohibited, but if I'm using it for permitted purpose, then it's no longer mukseh. I can pick it up and use it for that purpose. That's the law of the Mishnah. Okay, Talmud adds.
Rabbi, is this going to be different than when we saw previously with mukseh that you have to pre-designate it?
No, this doesn't say anything about that. It does not look like you have to pre-designate it. Right, it's kind of like it's already automatic. You don't have to pre-designate every bowl and every fork that you're going to use, right? It's just a basic assumption that these are things that everybody uses, and so you're allowed to use them. And so I guess it's kind of built in that a hammer is mukseh because of isur, but it's built in that if I have a chance to need it for something mutar, then it'll be allowed, and then I'll be able to use it.
Okay.
Okay. So, kol hakelim nitalin v'af al pi shenitpareku b'Shabbat. That's a quote from the Mishnah. You can use even if it was not on Shabbat, and even if it was taken off on Shabbat. Lami baya b'chol. And so what? I don't even have to. You don't have to tell me. What if it came off? What if the door of the box, the cover of the box, the cover of the Tupperware? What if it came off during the week and it was off during the week and it was off when Shabbat started? So why don't you need to tell me that? You should tell me the opposite. Shabbat, if it took it off if the cover was taken off on Shabbat, then the cover is muchan, it's ready and can be used because of its father, because of the main part of the vessel. For sure. But if it was not attached on Shabbat, and it was taken off, if it was not attached when Shabbat came in, because it was taken off beforehand during the week, then cover is not ready because of its father, because of the main vessel. And so the Mishnah only mentioned Shabbat, and really it Shabbat is, of course, it'll be okay. The really question is, does it need to be attached during Ben HaShemashot before Shabbat, when Shabbat comes in? Amar Abaye, Hachi Kamar, Kol HaKelim Nitalin BaShabbat V'Dartotehen Imahen, Afal Pi Shenitpareku B'Chol Nitalin BaShabbat. He adds in a few words, and this makes it clearer. Any vessel you can use on Shabbat, and their doors, covers with them, even if it was taken off during the week and it was not attached when Shabbat came in, still they can be moved on Shabbat. That's really what the Mishnah meant. You just have to add a couple of words to make it clear. Okay, good. Now, Tanu Rabbanan, a braita on the same topic. Delet shel shida v'shel teba v'shel migdal notlin, aber lo mahazirin. These, the doors to a chest, a box, a closet, you can remove them on Shabbat, but you cannot put them back on Shabbat. We're going to wonder why. The door of a chicken coop you cannot take off and you cannot put back either. Now we understand the second case. The one that's a chicken coop is attached to a pole or attached to the ground, and so therefore anything attached to the ground, we apply the law of building and dismantling. You're not allowed to build or dismantle anything that's attached to the ground. And the basic law of building has to do with something attached to the ground, like a house. And so therefore that explains the chicken coop. However, what about the other? What about the boxes? What's the assumption of this baraita? In general, is a machloket. Does building apply to utensils which are not attached to the ground, or is building really only like the original, building the mishkan, building something that is attached to the ground? Do you say yesh binyan b'kelim, yesh tira b'kelim? If that's what he thinks, that a building does apply, the concept of building does apply to utensils, then it's a problem, because then if there is binyan b'kelim, then there's also dismantling. And if there's dismantling, if you say you're allowed to dismantle on Shabbat, then and binyan b'kelim, then there's no problem of building. And yet this baraita says that these items, the box and the chest, you can not lean, you can take it off, you can dismantle, but you can't put it back, but you can't build. But that doesn't make sense. If you can dismantle, then you can also build. Either both yes or both no. How could you say you can dismantle, but you can't build? That's the question. And now we have two answers. Really, there is a problem. You're not allowed to build or dismantle, even vessels. And when it says not taken off, not that you can take it off, not nutlein, but nitilu, if it had fallen off, the door of the closet fell off, then you're not allowed to put it back on. And that's what it means, nitilu. Okay, we're going to have a problem with this because it doesn't actually say nitilu, it says the word notlin. So Amar le Rabban, shte teshuvot badavar. It says you're wrong on two accounts of Hayasari. Chada de nitilin kamar ve'od, mai aval lo machzirin. First of all, language is, and you can take them off. And second, what does it mean, however, you cannot put them back on? Why you have to say however? There's only one law here. Ela marava kasavat and binyan bekelim and sida bekelim. Really, the concept of building does not apply to utensils. Ugezera shema yitka. The problem with putting it back on is not building, but rather that you are going to fix it firmly in place, and that last blow is a makebet patish, which is a different halacha. So even if you think that there's no binyan regarding kelim, makebet patish does apply. And so since we worry that you may do that final blow and make it good, therefore we do not allow putting it back together at all. Okay. Now to the second law in the Mishnah. The one that David asked about, Notel Adam Kurnas, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Kurnas shel Gozin, Faseh Bot HaGozin, Aval shel Napachim lo. Rabbi Yehuda made a limitation on the Mishnah. It says, the only hammer that you're allowed to use is a nut hammer, one that is specifically designed or you have in mind to crack nuts with it, a nut opener. However, shel Napachim, for a smith's hammer, a professional hammer, no, you cannot use that to open up. So you see that really this undoes the entire halacha, right? The kasabad, he must think, Rabbi Yehuda must think, something that is designed, that is usually used for melacha, so for isur, even if I want to use it for a different purpose, even for itself, is also prohibited, right? I can't even use it to open a nut. That's what Rabbi Yehuda says. Amar le Rabba, elamata sefa, tekatani, betarachat v'tamazleg, ve'latet alehen lekatan. What about the other items? For example, the pitchfork to put food on it. Is there such a thing as a pitchfork that is made for feeding children? There's no such thing as that. A pitchfork is a pitchfork. It's only used for picking up hay, winnowing. That's all it is. So obviously, these are all the things in the Mishnah have to be things that are melach toli isur, and yet it's allowed. So Rabbi Yehuda can apply to the hammer, but it can't apply to the other things, other items in the Mishnah. It is, in fact, the Mishnah is talking about a professional hammer, blacksmith's hammer, and yet you can use it if you want to open nuts with it. He thinks that even something that is generally used for isur, that's its purpose, if you're using it for itself and you want to use it for permitted action, then you are allowed to do so. I'll just read a couple more lines because we have a question on him and we'll answer his question. If you have a mortar, right, little bowl that you crush things in, mortar and pestle, and then you're not allowed to move it. If it has some garlic in it, then you're allowed to move it because you're allowed to move the garlic and you're moving the mortar on the basis of the garlic. The mortar is just batel to it. But if not, if it's empty, then you can't move it. So you see here that a mortar and pestle, which is usually used for grinding, so it's something if isur, I cannot use it for heter. I can't come and take it and say I just want to use it for a bowl unless there was something in it already. So this seems to contradict what Rabban said. Says that statement, that Tosefta, is not my opinion, is not the opinion of the majority, but the opinion of Rabbi Nechemia. He thinks that you can only move a vessel for its intended purpose, and that would apply even to something mutar. Even a book, I can move a book because I want to read it. I can't move a book to use it as a paperweight, even though that would be permitted. A permitted act. I can't even use it for anything else. And so, certainly I cannot use a mortar, which is something totally isur. I can't use it for something like that. But that's his opinion, and so therefore it's true. That contradicts the Mishnah. I don't have to worry about it. That's a minority opinion. And one more question about it on him. Bet Shammai omerim en notenet ha'ali lekaseb ala basar, ubet Hillel matirin. Our question is really from the last item, but the first items are, can I take the pestle to cut meat on it? I want to use it to cut meat on it. Bet Shammai says no, Bet Hillel says it's allowed. This is a special heter because of Simchat Yom Tov, talking about cutting meat on Yom Tov. And so you're allowed to use it on Yom Tov because you can prepare it and cut it in a good way. So that's a special designation. What they do agree about is if I use the pestle and I cut meat on it, I cannot move it. I cannot use it for anything else, even if it's something permitted. So you see that even I cannot use for something permitted. So that's a question on Rabban. He was thinking, I can answer the same thing, that Tosefta is also the opinion of Rabbi Nechemia. And it's a minority opinion. However, he had a better answer. I heard another halacha that says everyone agrees regarding these special launderer's pins and rods. These are specialty items that are very expensive, and you would never use them. Generally, you wouldn't use them for something else because they're delicate and expensive. And so those items, the kapid alayhu, that you're very careful with, you put them in a special place. And those things are melachtam le'isur, and furthermore, you cannot use them even for something mutar because they are so special and valuable. And so that's the halakha everyone agrees with. And so here too, a pestle is something very special, important item, expensive item that you only use for grinding and you wouldn't use for anything else. And that's why I agree that even though you used it to cut meat, you still cannot move it for any other reason. And so you leave it in a separate place. So we're able to resolve that question. And so we conclude here, and we see a number of very important principles. First, the category of Klisha Machtol Isur, something that generally is used for something asur, but then you can use it for if you want to use it for something mutar. However, the exception to this is mukseh mechamat chesron kis, something that is expensive and specialty item that you designate a spot and say specifically, I'm not going to move it. I would not use it for anything else. Then, even for permitted use, it is still prohibited from moving. That would still be mukseh. Baruch Amen.